Welcome.
Hi, I'm Lindsey Simsick.
And I'm Krista Williams.
Welcome to the New Paradigm Digital Workshop Series by Almost 30. Congrats. Investing in yourself is a huge deal.
Yeah, and we want you to get the most out of your experience. So we have a few guidelines that we suggest so that you really get the value for your money. One of them is telling all of your roommates, family members, partners, pets that you're going to be investing the next few hours within this workshop. We want you to not be distracted. We want you to not be interrupted. So really make sure that you're creating the container and intention that this is your time. We also want you to be comfortable. We are huge fans of being comfortable in comfortable clothes all day. So nothing should be different for us, but we want you guys to be seated in a blanket with a sweatshirt on, however you're going to feel most comfortable. Have some water next to you, have a journal so you can write down everything that's important that you're going to get from this time. Also, please note that we did do this live, so there's conversations about the chat, the people within the workshop. So those things aren't going to relate to the workshop experience that you're having, but this is minimal, so it shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, and I would say after this workshop too, give yourself time to integrate. Don't rush into anything right away. Give yourself time to really absorb what you heard, what came up for you, maybe journal, and just give yourself time to rest. But we really hope you enjoyed this workshop, and if you do, we have more where that came from. So you can visit shopalmost30.com for more New Paradigm Digital Workshop Series offerings.
Enjoy.
Yeah, we'll see you soon.
See you soon.
Good morning, good morning. Hello, everyone. Off the bat, feel free, if you're comfortable, you put your video on. It's an intimate group this morning, so only if you feel comfortable, but good to see your faces, y'all. Yeah, what a special morning. Krista, do you like these workshops on the weekend? I'm like feeling them.
Yeah, I feel it's so much more spacious and it's always good. I find the morning time most productive on weekends, and it's really that self-care time. So I'm thankful that you guys are here and really taking that time. I'm really excited for this workshop. Our intention for the New Paradigm series when we launched it happened when we couldn't go on tour anymore and we couldn't do any of our in-person events that we were so used to doing. We were really used to connecting with our community in person, and I found that to be the most energizing part of what we do. And so we wanted to find another way for us to still connect during these times. So when we're home and when we potentially have more time to invest in things like this, in breath work, in healing, and on the other side, when we need healing more than ever, when we need peace more than ever, when we need to take care of ourselves more than ever. So that was the impetus behind New Paradigm Digital Workshop Series. This is the last one in our series, which is exciting and sad at the same time. All the other workshops are on our shop page if you guys are interested in that. But when we were planning out our schedule for this, we knew we wanted to do something with Jenna. Jenna's been a dear friend to Lindsey and I. She is just one of the sweetest, coolest people. And when we had Jenna attend our retreat last year in Malibu, it was probably the most powerful session of the whole week. It was crazy to see the ladies really, really go deep. And we saw such profound transformation among the women in the group, mostly because of the intensity of the breath work and then the support that Jenna provides as she guides people through. So we knew we wanted to have her, and here we are today. Really, really looking forward to it. Excited to dig into this together. We're really grateful, that you're a part of this, and I really look forward to doing it with you. I'm going to be joining. I'm terrified of breath work. Every time people try to get me to do it, I kind of skate out of it and avoid. So I'm going to make myself do it. I'm going to close my little door today and participate with all of you. So we'll see how I feel on the other side.
All right, really quickly before we dive in, I just wanted to go over a few housekeeping things. This workshop is a little different because it is experiential as well. So I see y'all comfy, cozy, and ready to go. So check on that box. We will be utilizing the chat throughout, not during the breathwork, obviously, unless there's anything you need. But Jenna will not be monitoring the chat. That will be myself and Krista. So just in case, I just wanted to give Jenna full focus on the group itself. And we will have a Q&A at the end. So if you do have a burning question, either save it or you can write it down in the chat and then repeat it when we go to the Q&A. And we will have moments to share. So if you are willing to share, we will ask you to take yourself off mute if that is comfortable for you, or you can just write it in the chat. But it'll be really nice. I always say, like, the perfect amount of people show up to these workshops, and it just creates a very special container. So I'm really grateful for you're here, and breathwork has completely changed my life. Not to not to be dramatic, but it truly has. It's a beautiful modality, and Jenna's been one of those facilitators for me that's just taking me so deep. She is an energy healer and breathwork and meditation coach, and yeah, just a beautiful human being, a dear friend. And especially in this last year, 2020, obviously we've all been through so much. And I'm sure Krista will agree, it's actually really illuminated the parts of our friends that I truly value, I will value forever and ever. And Jenna is one of those people that just provided such a solid support, a space to fall apart and truly see our own power and truth despite everything that's going on. So I'm really excited for her to create that container for you today. So shall we invite Jenna Reiss to join us? Hi, Jenna.
Ooh, good morning.
What a nice intro.
Good
Thank you so
morning.
much.
You're welcome, Mama. I would love, normally, either myself or Krista kind of sets the container, but you are master container setter. So I would love for you to just set the space before we begin.
Yes, let's do it, shall we, everyone? You guys look so cozy from those of us who we can see. I'm so glad that you're just ready to go today. Just wherever you are, unless you're driving an active vehicle, then pull over and close your eyes. But if you're in a place you can close your eyes, just close your eyes. And just take those breaths. You know how to do them by now. They're just moments to take some deep breaths. Deep in, deep out. If you had kind of a rough morning or maybe a rough week, you might want to shake off the week a little bit. Maybe give some stretches or kinks. Just even a little shake. If it was really bad, just give a shake. Take a breath. And as you're breathing right now, just allow yourself to call in, to breathe in really some of that foundation below you. So below you, you have a floor. You then below that have the dirt all the way down to the core of Mother Earth. So you have this foundation right beneath you. Just start to breathe that foundation into your body. Breathing the roots of Mother Earth on up into your body. And shifting focus to the sky above, really opening the crown, opening the top of our physical beings. And start to breathe in Father Sky. This container that can really connect us to so many other realms, dimensions, feelings. And just imagine that as you breathe in Father Sky, that he begins to merge within you with Mother Earth. So the energy inside you that you've just breathed in starts to swirl around. Maybe opening some of the places in your body where you feel tension, where you feel tightness. Always breathing. And as we open today's digital circle from women all over, connecting through our spirits, our energy, our hearts, we allow the universe to guide us today. May it push us to open to the healing that we need, to take it as far as we're comfortable taking it. And if you have any personal angels or guides that you'd like to call in to support you today, invite them into your space. And just ask them to support you. You are the master of your session today. This is your choice. You can take this as far as you'd like to take it. I'm here for it. We're here for it. I like to call in the 4 directions, call in the mountains of the north, call in the city, the autumn changing to fall, the autumn changing to winter, the leaves falling off the trees turning to snowfall from the east. The beaches, even other countries we're connected to from the south, and the oceans of the west. May you hold the 4 corners for us as we open and go where we need today. Deep breath in and out. Wiggle those fingers and toes. And when you're ready, blink open. And we're a little more connected, a little more together.
Beautiful. Thank you. Needed that. Okay. Before we begin, I just want to chat a little bit. I know a lot of people on here are doing breath work for the first time today, and it can be really nerve-wracking. I remember my first time, and actually to this day, I still approach breath work and I'm like, no! But then I never regret it, ever. How did you find breath work? How did it come about? Can you hear me, Jenna? Oh, there we go.
I was having trouble with the unmute, so thank you for how did I find it is a wild story. I'll say that I found it because I needed it, and I was discovering that meditation for me, as much as I loved it and practiced it, was not helping me heal my heart. And my heart was carrying too much, and it was full of pain, and it was full of darkness and shadow and devastation, and I had fallen apart, and I didn't know how to put myself back together. And frankly, I was mad at all the meditators who told me, well, just keep going with meditating, because I was falling apart. I had fallen apart. And so for me, I asked the universe, without knowing that's what I was doing, I asked the universe, help me. I need help. And a friend of mine called me and quite literally dragged me out of bed and said, we don't have to talk. Just come with me to this thing. And it was breath work. And I had a vision for the rest of my life. Not to set any expectations too high for all of you, by the way. It doesn't happen for everyone, and it happens differently for everyone. So that's important. But for me, that was my path. I was given this vision. And what I realized that I didn't have words for then, but over time, was that I had so much energy stored in my body that meditating was not going to do it for me at that time in my life, because I needed somatic healing work. I needed to move through what I was holding. And since I also just add that now my meditation practice has deepened, because when you let yourself feel what you're feeling, it can change the way you work with your mind. So that was my journey to it. I quite literally didn't take a step. I didn't have a chance to be afraid. I was like 2 in my pain on my first time. And I didn't even let the fear be a part of it. The pain was too big. So the next week I got dropped off on a mountaintop, emotionally, but actually literally, and wasn't totally sure if I was going to be killed or, if this was a good thing, but I just listened to spirit, and listened to the voices I was hearing, and I cried my way up the mountaintop, and I went, and the course of my life changed forever.
What mountain was it?
New Mexico. So it was Sandia Park, New Mexico mountains, just outside of Albuquerque. Yeah, I mean, and I also say that too, the people think you got to go to Peru, you got to go to there, you got to do all these things. Like, healing is an internal experience. It's a you and showing up. That's really, it's Krista saying yes to lay down to breathe today. I mean, really, that is, it's not the Peru mountaintops. That was my journey that I was responding to and listening to. But my first time on the beach, when I did breath work, was just this, it was me with me. And my body's just like rolling in chills right now, which is my sign from spirit that we're talking about the right things.
So what's happening physically to the body when you're doing breath work?
So a few things, I should say, rather than what is happening, a few things can happen, and a few things that are just important to know your body is going through. So I'm only going to say one line that's going to be heady about it, which is you are hyper-oxygenating the bloodstream. And so you're allowing oxygen to come through and move through your body that turns off some switches, quite literally, come through. The easiest way to say it is it turns off some firing neurons in your brain. And so when it turns those off, you're allowed to actually feel. And it allows for the thinking that you feel. The biggest myth in any meditations that I hear from clients is, I can't meditate, I'm bad at it, I'm bad at this, which is why when Krista told me she was bad at breathwork, I laughed, because that is the thing. We all feel that, right? Mm-hmm. I'm poking fun at Krista today, clearly. That's why I laughed, right? Because it's common. We all feel that way. And in breathwork, if you really, especially if you're someone that says that, which I know that's not what Krista says, but that is a common feeling, right? When we feel that there's a lot going on in us and we can't turn our brains off, or you've got an active brain, when we breathe in and we hyperoxygenate the bloodstream, we're actually allowing the nervous system to relax. So your nervous system starts to reset inside your body. You might feel emotions. You might feel some physical sensations in your body. Tingling is pretty common. Cramping can also be common. If you're showing up like I did for my very first breath work with some pain in your heart, you'll probably experience some cramping in the hands. Completely normal and common. It can be extreme. It also can be really light. You also might not experience it at all. And tightness in the jaw.
What's the connection between the hands cramping and the heart?
So if you put your hands out like this, your hands are an extension of your heart. So that's the center point that your hands are representing. So think about that. Creativity flows through the hands when you have a hurting heart. When you're in flow, creativity flows through the hands. When you're in love, right? And that's all because this is the part of your center. And so the hands can cramp. It's in correlation to the front and the back of your heart as well. So your hands can cramp up, and really, especially if there's resistance around wanting to move through what your heart is feeling. And even if you're like, but I'm not resistant, I'm here, I'm doing it, and you have the hands cramping, it's also simply a sign that energy is moving through. And the beautiful thing is you can simply acknowledge it and honor it and give the energy permission to move through you, and it does and will eventually.
Cool. Beautiful. Before we jump in, just this piece on fear that I know you're going to touch on today, and we're going to go deeper on today. Would love to just kind of like set the tone as far as like fear as an emotion, as that base emotion. I've been kind of like picking apart my emotions a little bit. And like always the question that's like underneath it all is like, what am I afraid of? What am I afraid of? Um, can you speak on that a little bit?
I think what's interesting of what you just said is the question, what am I afraid of? Because we live in a world that wants to understand, and I understand the need to understand, right? The important thing to remember is that we actually don't need to completely understand the fear or what's blocking us, why it's there, where it comes from. It's fun. Well, fun use relative. It's fun for an energy healer. It's fun to go into and to explore because same with me, understanding gives me power. It makes me feel powerful. It makes me feel knowledgeable and stronger. So just as the notion of we have the desire to pick it apart because that's the culture we were raised in, but it's also if you feel stuck, and I use that in air quotes because I think that it's kind of limiting and binary to even say that stuck is there, but if we do feel stuck, that's the feeling that you have around the exploration of fear. Truly, I would acknowledge and honor that you feel fear and let that be enough, because we don't have to do so much to heal. By showing up here, you're healing. By saying yes the second you said yes to something like this, or to this workshop, or the next one, or the book that you bought, you're healing. You're moving, here goes the chills again. You're moving energy simply by having a willingness to feel better or to um, understand your fear, simply with the desire to understand it. So that it kind of exists in this dichotomy of the two ways. Like, do we need to understand it? Not necessarily, but it can feel really nice. And when you feel stuck around the understanding of it, I'd really just encourage, all right, can we let go and let something else, let another container, a breath work, a meditation, another, spirit coach, a run, if you love, working out, support you in unlocking it further, because we don't have to understand it. You know me, I don't answer your questions directly, but
No, that's beautiful. It makes a lot of sense. I want to let you go deeper into working with fear and that energy that stands in the way of radical love, and then I know you're going to be leading meditation as well. And just so everyone knows, just the flow, I'll be facilitating a break at around 11. So you'll have a moment before we go into breath work to go to the bathroom, have water, whatever you need, situate yourself. And then we'll begin the breath work around 11:05. But thank you, Jenna, and thank you all for being here. This is so special, and I'm just really excited for you all and for us too, because we're going to be participating along with you. But safe space, and yeah, and just let her rip, all y'all. Thanks, Jenna.
yes. Okay, few quick things I do want to say as I dive in here. So, I totally understand not wanting to be on video. That's no problem. I can also add that it might actually support you to be on video. So, if you have the ability to go on video and you feel okay about it, it can really create some additional energy flow within you from the experience. So just a thought, maybe I can convince you, but your call completely. And to add to that, from a recording standpoint, Lindsey is recording, but because I'm not recording, and as I'm teaching, you won't be during the active breathwork session. You don't have to be front and center in the camera, right? Like if you're really uncomfortable, just turn your camera off. That's no problem. Okay. Okay, that's enough logistics. So radical love. I wanted this workshop to be called Reclaiming Radical Love. And my fiance, who's not deeply, not as spiritual as me, will say, was like, what the heck does that mean? And if I throw a few curse bombs in there, I apologize. I'll try really hard not to. So I sat down with it, and it was so clear to me when we talked about this workshop with the girls, because to reclaim radical love to me feels like what this whole year has been about. It's an upheaval of systems and perspectives and our personal journeys in order to get to a deeper sense of self, in order to get to this person that is in there that maybe you've lost touch with, or maybe that's not even your journey and it's just you're in pain and it's been a hard year and it just doesn't feel good, right? You don't even have to have a deep understanding of what it is that you're moving through to get to reclaiming radical love. But all that BS is what stands in the way of radical love, right? And so to me, radical love feels so important right now because it's expansive, it's all consuming, it's loving even when we don't want to, it's loving ourselves when we don't want to, it's loving radically, especially when you want to reject yourself. Whenever you say, I don't like this part of myself, I do this, but I don't like this part of myself, right? Or I don't like that I feel that way. That's self-rejection, which is a form of self-beration. And so to reclaim radical love is to love yourself through your growth period deeply, right? Especially when you hear those ugly voices that come up. So my intention is to support us in getting to a place that we can reclaim what radical love is to each individual. And what stands in our way of radical love is fear. So we're going to talk a little bit about the energy of both. All right. So be super curious to know. I'm not really paying attention to the chat, but if you want to pop in and unmute yourself, great. If you don't want to, that's okay too. I was curious to ask you guys, like, to you, how does love or radical love show up in your body? Like, how does it feel to you? You can put it in the chat or unmute yourself. Totally your call. How does it feel? Maybe you just want to jot it down, which is not a bad idea, so you can actually explore what that is. What does radical love feel like in your body? Yeah, well, got some brains moving. So I'll just keep adding. Write that down though before I add to your thing. Write down or think about or put it in the chat. Yeah, Krista, sometimes tentative. It's like hesitant. Yes. Yeah. It's like, I should be loving, but And the energy of love, the vibration of love, physically can make you really hot. Like you get a little sweaty. It actually is rarely going to make you cold. Cold is usually going to be fear. It feels electric in my heart space. Yes, a great word, electric. You might feel like blushing. You might feel tingling sensations. I mean, how many of us have fallen in love? When you fall in love, it's those butterflies. That's this vibration of love. That feeling that you have, it's doing that for yourself. Expansive. Yes, Lindsey. This is the energy that we want to be creating from. This is the energy that we want to be allowing ourselves to flow from, because this is what allows, when you're in this energy, this is what allows abundance, manifestations, creations of dreams, right? Because we cannot manifest from a place of lack, from the place of scarcity, from the place of fear. It's not everlasting. So when love is your main energy source, you find that it's this abundant, overflowing, limitless. That's exactly how it feels for me. Like I'm falling in love with someone, but it's myself. Yes, Leslie, great line. So what stands in the way of that is fear. So in order to get our way to radical love, we have to take a look at what's unhealed within ourselves. Fear, unhealed wounds, triggers, pain points. That's uncomfortable to take a look at ourselves that way. So we know a little bit about how the energy of love lives in your body. How about the energy of fear? The energy of fear lives in your body. Usually, think about that. How for you does it show up? One physical sensation I've already told you is cold. Usually if you get a little shaky and cold, like you're, in a cold weather, but it's like 100 degrees out, that's going to show you that it's fear moving through you. Preoccupation and anxiety. Anxiety is a great one. Yes. Stomach and knots, a pit in the stomach. So great point about anxiety. When fear shows up in your body physically, when it shows up emotionally or unconsciously, it can cause anxiety. It can cause physical pain. It can actually turn into physical pain. That's why it's so important for us to move through them. So how do you move through it when, let's say Lindsey's question in the beginning was, I don't know what it is. I'm trying to unpack it. How do you move through it when you're like, well, I just feel stuck. I'm not afraid. I just feel stuck. You can have the awareness of it. You can start to try to unpack it. The third thing I wanted to talk about is shining the light on them. So shine a light on your fears. Shine a light on your anxiety. People with anxiety often have a love-hate relationship with the work that I do. I completely understand why. And you know who it's most important for? The people with anxiety. Because anxiety is, and this is important to also add that there's all different forms of anxiety, but energetically speaking, anxiety is suppressed emotion. So when we open up those doors, which it can be scary, it can actually cause you to feel more anxious before you start to feel better, right? So shining a light on your fears, shining a light on the wounds, airing them out, giving them your energy and attention in terms of awareness. There's a difference between energy and attention in terms of awareness, and then look over to energy and attention in terms of, let's call it victimhood. Do you have anyone have the friend who, is the victim often, right? Or maybe it's a parent or someone in your family. It's really hard to be around that energy. Usually it's hard to be around that energy because their fear, their anxiety, their pain wants to breed more of it. So fear breeds more fear. Anxiety breeds more anxiety, right? Or you can think of an example like if a friend calls you, and this is a great year for anxiety, right? A lot of people have been feeling it. And if a friend called you at any point during this year and said, oh my God, I'm anxious about what's happening, and you actually, before you picked up the phone, weren't anxious, suddenly you hang up the phone and you're like, I feel shittier. Oh man, I was really trying not to curse. You hang up the phone and you might say, I feel worse, right? Because fear breeds more fear. Anxiety breeds more anxiety. So there's a difference, and that's really important, right? Identifying what it is that we're holding, if we can, or just identifying that we're holding it versus and airing it out versus feeding it so much attention and energy that you get sucked into it and you can't see the vibrations or energy of love. You can't feel it, right? There is a difference, but that's why we have the flashlight. The flashlight is a flashlight of acknowledgement. It's a flashlight of awareness. It's a flashlight of compassion. Oh, I see you, fear. Where awareness goes, energy flows. So we bring energy to what it is that we're holding without getting sucked into it. And then that's what we're going to do today. We're going to actually bring awareness to the energies that we're holding, to the things that are holding you back. And then lay down to breathe. Because when you lay down to breathe, then we're giving the breath and spirit and the universe opportunity to open up things within you so that you don't have to do anything to understand your fears. You've already claimed it. You've already cultivated it. And in fact, just by being here, you've cultivated it. Just by me talking about the energies, we've shined a flashlight on them. So let's pull some of those up and out from ourselves. Grab your pen and your journal. We're going to just write something down. I want you to write down, let's do 1, 2, 3. Create some space in between. Okay. You're going to finish the sentence. And by the way, you already might have started to get a little bit colder just by I call them, right, entities, the negative limiting beliefs, the fears in your body. Just by starting to shine a flashlight on them, they might have started to activate some energy within you. If you're sensitive or an empath, you're probably already feeling that. If you're not, it's totally fine. You're still doing it right and doing it great. Okay, so go to number 1, and you're just going to finish the sentence. I am afraid of. I am afraid of. And you might have already done this, but if you haven't, then write because. Okay, we're not going to let you get too sucked into it. So your story might wanted to keep going. Just pick up your pen, move on to number 2. Number 2, I am afraid of. Because. Pick up your pen. Number 3, you guessed it, I am afraid of. I am afraid of. Because. Okay. Put your pen down. Close your, go back to the top of the list. Look at the top of the list. Reread your list. Reread what you wrote. Mm-hmm. Notice any changes happening to your body. Are you feeling sweatier or shakier or maybe colder? Just by claiming them, just notice any subtle, small changes. Now, what if I told you you were going to read these out loud to the whole group? How does your body respond? Notice that. If every one of you is going to go on mute, unmute, and read it out loud right now and let everyone here see you, how does your body respond? Mm-hmm. So what did you notice? Go ahead and put it in the chat, or you can call it out. What did you notice about your body? How did your body respond? But also freeing. Great line, Krista. Yes. But they've been cold since starting. Leslie brings up a great point. They were probably cold since starting for a few reasons. That's the start of the energy as soon as you said yes to exploring your fears. It was in the description. So the container was set when, Krista and Lindsey put it up as a ticket item. My hands and feet are cold. Yeah. So holding breath, also deeper breathing, following. I have chills. My heart is racing. I feel like I might tear up. Yes. And let yourself, Ivy. Let yourself. Yeah. This is the energy that we're working with. This is the full body chills that my body's feeling. So if I were to have each of you, every one of you read out loud, 2 things would happen. 1, you would feel less alone. You would feel less alone because you'd see a part of yourself in somebody else. You would want to reach through the computer and hug the other women in this group, the other people, in this group. You would feel connection. What Krista said at the beginning really is the most powerful line. Seeing and feeling and hearing some of our fears through another can be really freeing. It also can activate more fear in your body, right? So your body might get even colder. Your body might have a physical response or reaction. Here's what I do want to do. I want to invite a few of you to read out loud. I'm going to encourage that Ivy starts us off, but she does not have to if she does not want to. That is no problem. I encourage, if any part of you felt disconnected, so that's on one end of the spectrum, or teary, that you raise your hand and volunteer to read them out loud. Now, I'm going to share a boundary in the upfront. We love you and we want to see you in these fears. If you start to tell us your whole life story, we love you, but we don't have time for it. So I will probably cut you off. Okay? And that'll be done with love. So just read what's there. Read what you wrote if you would like to share. So just a few of you. We won't have time for everyone, which probably you'll be happy about, but some of you might not be. Let's see. Who would like to start us off?
I'm happy to start us off.
Okay, so Leslie, I would love for you to, but because I pushed Ivy.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Nope, I was waiting for her to accept the invitation.
Okay.
So because I asked her to go first, and I saw her raise her hand, she accepted. We'll do Ivy and then Leslie.
Gotcha.
Okay, can you hear me?
You sure can.
Okay. I feel very shaky.
Mm-hmm.
So here it is.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want me to read all three?
You do what you would like to do.
Okay. I said, I'm afraid of my past because I don't always know what happened. I'm afraid of fully embracing myself because people might not accept me. And I am afraid of being radically honest because I might upset others.
Mm. Yeah, so just look at the group for a moment. What you just shared might make you feel a little worse at first. Like a vulnerability hangover, right? But I'm going to push you because for some reason you and Krista are who I'm picking on right now. And I'd like you to say them again, and this time look up at the computer and look at every square that you can see. And every square that's in this room, whether we can see you or not, we can feel your energy. So you are participants to beam Ivy your love. You are to beam Ivy your love. It is easier for you to love Ivy right now in her fears. It is easier because even if you see a part of her fears within you, you're compassionate. You're here and you want to open something else up. So it's clear that there's something you relate to within Ivy. So go ahead, Ivy. And this time look up in between each one and just look at the group. Let them beam love to you.
I am afraid of my past because I don't always know what happened. I am afraid of fully embracing myself because people might not accept me. And I am afraid of being radically honest because I might upset others.
That was a good breath. Take another one. I don't know if you can see the chat, how many people are relating, but you also got a few other tears from the group. Thank you, Ivy, for being so brave.
Thanks, guys.
Leslie.
Oh, I'm off mute. So I think the one major theme that resonated for me is, and I have done a little bit of breath work before, and this has come up, but I think I'm really afraid of feeling everything. I feel like I'm not going to be able to handle it if I'm actually experiencing all those emotions. I can talk about emotions, but I can't feel them. I have like a hard block on that. So I've in a couple of different breathwork things that I've done, I've actually been moved to tears, and I think that's a good thing. But that's really what I'm afraid of, is being totally cut open and not being able to handle it.
Mm. Mm. I hear you. Thank you. Did you have another one on there? You wrote 3. Was that all 3 wrapped in
That
one?
was kind of the big ticket items. Maybe also finding out something that I didn't know, like going extra deep, and not being able to maybe forgive myself for those things. And then I'm always afraid that I feel unworthy, but I also don't truly believe that either. Like there's a part of me that like feels confident that I'm not, but like there's that like, that little piece of ego that's like holding on to a lot of other things.
Mm. Yeah. Thank you, Leslie.
I would like to go, if that's
All
okay.
right. Yes. Lindsey, and then Molly. I saw you up next.
So I feel like this is a good time for this, but I said I'm afraid of being seen / heard because I learned as a child that it's not safe.
Mm.
Um, and then also I'm afraid of truly healing because I've become comfortable with the pain.
Mm.
Yeah.
Take a breath. How's your body feeling?
My heart is racing and tearful. I also cry at everything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Are you in your body? Would you describe right now as being in your body?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. That's a good start.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And my third one was just I said I'm afraid of trusting the universe because I'm afraid of being disappointed.
Mm-hmm. So, Lindsey, what might be possible for you if you were to be seen, be heard, speak up, heal?
Mm-hmm. I think a lot. I do think on some level, like getting past that, I kind of, and like I've also been doing like Lacey Phillips manifestation work. So, I feel like on some level, I feel like to get over it, I can have everything I want, but that's also kind of weirdly scary too. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so just asking Lindsey that question, this is one we could have asked every single one of you. It's to get you seeing, can you see past the fears and into possibility? And it's not right or wrong if you can't see what it would be like without X, Y, or Z, without the limiting belief, without the fear, or without healing. If you can't see what it could look like, it's okay. It's just information for you.
Mm-hmm.
It's information to know, wow, okay, I need some help. I need some support so that I can believe again.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm trying to get more into like, this is my first time doing breath work, and I feel like I've done like talk therapy for so long, and like personally for me it just hasn't really been like, it hasn't been as like healing as I would like. And like doing some of like Lacey's manifestation work, it's just so much more comes up with that than I've ever gotten through therapy. But I'm kind of at that point where I'm like, so much is coming up, but then I'm not totally sure what to do with it. So that's kind of where I feel like breath work can help process what's coming up. So that's kind of what drew me to this.
Perfect. So let's go bring you back to the top of your list. You're going to read again.
Okay. So I'm afraid of being seen and heard because I learned as a child that that wasn't safe. I'm afraid of truly healing because I became comfortable with that pain and that trauma. And I am afraid to trust the universe because I'm afraid of being disappointed. And I already noticed a difference that second time saying that the second time.
It's a little intuitive over there. She heard what my question was next, which was, hey, group, did you hear the difference when she said that the first time than the second. She could have been crying in the second time she said that, it would have been fine. But energetically, all she had to do was shine the flashlight on what they were, and they start to lose their power over you. Thank you, Lindsey.
Thank you.
See you. And I know Molly, I saw you next. And we might take one more after that, and that'll be it. So if you're feeling the push or the pull or the call, so Molly.
Hi, guys. I just raised my hand very intuitively after Leslie shared because I feel very connected to what you said. I don't cry very often, and I listened to a podcast that Lindsey did with Pause BreathWork. I forget her first name, but I listened to that in the park walking my dog a couple months ago, and I like immediately just got emotional. And even when we started today, I've just been emotional. And so I think I'm afraid of breath work because I'm afraid of what is being brought up inside of me. And it wasn't ever like, oh, I feel like I need to heal from one big trauma, but everyone has little traumas that just add up. So I'm afraid to discover what some of those are for me. And I think it's just human nature to be afraid of vulnerability. So I related a lot. Like I said, I just felt the need to share that. And just, Leslie, as soon as you said all of that, I was like, yep.
So I'm just going to have you go back to that last sentence. And you said, I think we're all afraid of vulnerability. And I'm going to have you rephrase that and just say, I'm afraid of vulnerability.
Yes, I am definitely afraid of vulnerability.
Yeah, how did that feel, saying that sentence?
It's scary. And again, just like on the verge of tears the whole time.
Yeah, we feel you. Thank you, Molly. The reason we brought her back, right, had Molly share that, is because we do like to hide behind the we statement in order to make it feel softer for ourselves. So when Molly took the strength to say, I am afraid of vulnerability, that little entity in the body, that little fear went, holy shit, she sees me, right? She sees me, which helps it loosen some of its power. It also is really scary, or can be. Not always, won't always be. All right, last one more, I promised. Anyone else? Yes, Cindy.
I guess I'll just read my list here. The first one came up because when you were talking about radical love earlier, it always, like, radical love for me is the love I have for my kids. And a big one for me is I'm afraid of losing the people that I love, because I don't ever want to feel that kind of pain and be alone and suffer again. And yeah, that one really, really hits me and makes me feel really tight and fearful. And then I'm afraid of other people judging me because I want to feel connected and loved. And I'm afraid of losing my freedom because I don't want to be stuck somewhere where I'm not happy.
Take a breath, honey. You said them out loud and you're still safe.
Yeah, I feel really shaky.
Yeah. Thank you. What part of your body is at most activated right now?
All in my chest. It's always in my chest.
Okay. The clarity you have on that will support you as you lay down today. Thank you, honey. So even if you just said these out loud, I don't know what this weird wand thing was, but we'll roll with it. Even if you just said yours out loud, we're actually, I don't even know if I'm allowed, I have a button to do this, but I'm going to encourage that every one of you go off mute right now. And at the same time, you're going to read them out loud. That means sometimes we'll hear one of you more than the other. That means sometimes someone will be louder than another. Fine. No problem. I'm going to count to 3 and you'll start reading. Okay? So unmute yourselves Unmute, 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 unmute. Yeah, good. Okay. Look down at your list. Take a breath. And go ahead and read them out loud. And 3, 2, 1, go.
I am afraid of
being
being
trapped because it limits my happiness.
wants me to
Not being a
do
good person, bad things happen, being rejected, not
something about me that I
afraid
feel
of growing older because I haven't done my one with my life, or I won't be as free.
Wow. Whose body feels activated? That was insane. Beautiful, beautiful job. Look, we're not trying to heal your whole life story in 2 hours. It'd be fucking cool if we could, but it's unlikely. We're not trying to heal your whole life story. You're just trying to allow yourself to gain some clarity on what's standing in your way of radical love so you can step into more of it. Beautiful. Beautiful. Look at that for timing.
Beautiful.
That was amazing.
Thank you all for sharing. That's so powerful, and brave, and healing for those listening as well, just from my experience in those few minutes. We're going to take just a 5-minute break. So if you need to, create a comfortable space if you haven't already. Jenna, do you want to just mention any comforts that people could have for the setup before we go on break?
Yes, and before I forget, don't check your phones on this break. Like, highly, highly recommend. Don't. If you need to go out to the living room and the kids or the partners, are there, you can just say, "I love you. I need water. I'm going back in." We want to keep the container is here. The container is set, but that's supportive for you and what you just opened. You just cracked something open by speaking those things out loud, those fears. And you don't need something else stepping in right now. Okay. So to support yourself, keep the container here. To set up, lying down flat is what you're going to be doing. All right. So you're going to lie down completely flat. If you have neck, knee, or back problems, you're welcome to use a pillow. I recommend that you don't, especially if one of you in here, Lindsey, if you have a fear of using your voice, of being heard, of being seen, you want to remove that pillow, okay? If you have neck, knee, or back problems, it's not going to ruin your experience. So use what you need, set things up for what you need. Other than that, you definitely are going to want a blanket. We're talking a lot about fear. So your body temperature is going to change. So get yourself a blanket, maybe even 2. I have 2 that I always use every time I lay down, and they keep me perfectly warm. Just get that ready and set up nearby, okay? You probably want a pillow nearby if you have neighbors around you or people in your house. You're not going to put it under you. You'll just have it in arm's reach next to you, okay? You can put a little cloth over your eyes. If you have an eye pillow, use it, but you could use a sweatshirt and just put it over your eyes. That can be really helpful and supportive. For the computer, I'm going to encourage that you set it up so that I can see roughly from here. Oh, like you can see my puppy that blends on the road. You sit from here to about here, right? Which is where my belly's at. So that's where you're going to be setting up the computer if you're going to keep your computer on. I'd encourage it. It can support me in holding space further for you. But if you're not comfortable, no problem. We can do it without. Yeah, that should be it.
Beautiful. All right, y'all, we'll be back in 5 minutes. So Pacific time, 11:07, and then we'll begin. All right, everyone. Y'all look cozy. Okay. I got to set myself up. Where's my weighted blanket? Hold on.
Perfect. That's a good use of that.
I know.
So I'm
Go
just
for it.
going to add that now that you're all cozy, I'm going to make you turn your beautiful little heads to look at me. We have so many new to breathworks. I'm going to give the new to breathwork spiel, okay? So if you've done breathwork before, that's fine, no problem. I'd still listen, because if you haven't done it with me, we don't know. It could have been a different type of breathwork. There's many forms out there. So the form that we're going to use today is a 2-step breath through an open mouth. All right, so I am going to show you as I bring my computer down to my belly. My belly's right here. I'm going to inhale through this open mouth, and my belly's going to expand, okay? It's going to look like this. Belly breath. And then I'm going to breathe into the heart for the second breath. So it's belly, heart, exhale. Belly, heart, exhale. That's how you do it. Okay, so I'm going to encourage, because we're talking about fear, I'm going to encourage that as soon as you exhale out, you're going to pick it right back up on the next inhale. That doesn't mean you have to go fast. It just means you're not going to hang in a dramatic long way on the exhale. All right, so it's not going to look like this. That's not what it's going to look like. Instead, it's going to look like this. So once you're out of breath, you pick it right back up, okay? If you have physical sensations, hand cramping, jaw cramping, any of that good stuff, that's fine. As I mentioned, that might happen. It's normal. If you feel dizzy, it's normal. Keep breathing, breathe on through it. If you have any medical issues and concerns that you're worried about, stop the breath. Stop the active breath. Breathe normal. Just relax. You'll feel the energy. That's totally fine. No one's going to shame you into what you did or didn't do, okay? Most importantly, you know you best. No one can take that agency away from you. So if something feels wrong and not right in your body, you can slow or stop. That said, if it's just resistance, if we feel afraid of what might happen if we keep doing it, that's when you want to push yourself to keep doing it. Okay? Any questions? Okay. Let's go, beautiful people. So lie yourselves down. You can relax your heads now. You've removed your pillows. You've set up your screens. I'm so proud of you all for being on camera. Just allow yourself to take a few breaths in. Look, we've already cultivated the energy. We've already opened some pieces that we needed to open. So start to settle on into what your body is feeling. And a reminder, I will not be responding to chat during this session. So just take those breaths, let yourself settle on into it all. Okay, now that I've spoken some of this out loud, now that I've identified some of what I'm feeling, how does my body feel? What's going on inside my body? Just notice it.
And let yourself take a breath into that space in your body that you've identified. What is it that you're feeling? We don't know. Maybe we do. Where is it? Breathe there. Just some normal breaths to start. I'm going to be playing some music. So if you need to make any adjustments on your end in the first moments or two, that's fine. So go ahead and begin. Open your mouth and start with the active breath, breathing deep into that belly, and then the heart, and then exhale. Belly, heart, exhale. Belly, heart, exhale. Beautiful, Krista. Beautiful, Lindsey. Good. So just start breathing in this pattern. I'm going to get that music playing. You start to let your body find a rhythm with that breath. Good. If your eyes are open and you feel safe enough to close them, I'd encourage you close them now.
heat of summer and the birds singing and the soul of my sweat in the face of all that isn't yet, in the crowd, in the mind, in the eyes of four, in the nick of time. Let it in my soul. Let it in, let it in, let it in, no. Let it in my soul. Let it in, let it in, let it in, let it in, no. Let it in my soul. Let it in, let it in, let it in, no. Let it in my soul. Let it in, let it in, let it in, let it in, no. In the fire, in the smoke, when I'm wealthy and when I'm flat broke. In the garden, in the steam, in the desert gray, in the forest green, in the voices, in the quiet. Oh, don't you dare try to even fight it on a mountain, in a field. Oh, let it be my sword and my shield. Let it in my soul. Let it in, let it in, let it in. Let it in my soul. Let it in, let it in, let it in, let it in. Oh,
Good.
let it in my soul. Let it in, let it in, let it in. Oh, let it in my soul. Let it in, let it in, let it in, let it in. Oh, let it in my soul. Let it in, let it in, let it in. Oh, let it in my soul. Let it in, let it in, let it in, let it in. Oh, let it in my soul. Let it in, let it in, let it in, let it in. Oh, let it in my soul. Let it in, let it in, let it in, let it in. Oh.
Beautiful. You're off to a great start here. A few of you are still breathing through your nose, so it's fine if you're finding that it's a little difficult for you. No problem. You'll get the hang of it. Let your mouth get dry and open your mouth. Breathe this through your mouth. If you're feeling yourself yawn or feeling wiggly or feeling tired or dizzy, all of that's completely normal right now. You're at the hardest part of this practice. These first few minutes when your mind is most activated, when those fears start to want to run and hide. Oh shit, she can see me. So just breathe. Just commit to the breath. That's all you have to do right now. Let's see if we can push you through the hardest part. You're doing great. If you're noticing your mind has a lot that it wants to say, just say hello to it. Hello, mind. I'm choosing to keep breathing. Good. Keep going. If you're really an intelligent woman who loves to use her brain, you might be struggling right now. That's no problem if that's you. Keep breathing. Keep breathing. Open your mouth and keep going. Come on. You're completely safe. Good. If you're starting to feel some emotions bubble to the surface, that's normal. Keep going. Beautiful. Your job, your only job is to breathe. You might want to tell your mind here, it's safe for me to let go of control. It's safe for me to let go of control. And then breathe a little deeper. I see most of you could probably bring up to 5% more air into each breath. This moment, we're done playing it safe. Good. Good. We're going to open to a little bit more that you're holding inside of you, especially if you're one that has a hard time using your voice, especially if you're one that had a hard time showing up to this. What I want you to do is actually grab that pillow that you had near you. If you don't have a pillow, don't open your eyes. Just you can put your arm over your mouth. And you're going to actually let out a yell. If you have no one near you and it's fine for you to yell loudly, that's fine. You go for that. You don't need to cover your mouth. On the count of 3, let it go. Even if you don't want to, even if it feels silly. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we could use a little more, so keep yelling if you have it, and if you're ready for it, throw a full-on tantrum. Yeah, kick around a little bit, hit the floor. Get rid of these fears. Be willing to let go of them. Shake your body out. Go for it again if you're ready. Uh-huh. Good. Beautiful. Good. Beautiful job. If you're feeling tightness and tingling in your body, you're doing it great. Even if you're not, you're doing great. So get back to the breath now. Belly breath, heart breath, exhale. And this time, with each breath, being willing to open your heart a little wider. You feel what you feel. Let them come to the surface. This is not the time to hide them. Let it be there. You're safe.
You never got the chance to hold me. I learned to love your selfish way. I still believe in you. And in this burning room, I'll suffer through the pain. Oh no, got me low. How you gonna leave like that? Oh no, got me low. Gone and I want you back. Oh no, down so low. Feeling like I'm under attack. Oh no, where'd you go? You're gone and I want you. We never talked about forever. I never wanted you to change.
beautifully. Everything that you're feeling is normal. I'm going to encourage in this moment, no matter what it is that you're feeling, that you let yourself let out a laugh. That's right. Let yourself think about something that's made you laugh. Imagine these women all over the world laying on their floors, breathing, laughing with you. And let yourself put a little smile on, even if you have to force it a little. We'll pull it out of you. Go ahead and let out a laugh now. If you got tension in your jaw, this is for you to be laughing about. You guys need a lot more to laugh about, clearly. Go ahead and pick it up. Fake it till you become it right now. That's perfect. Good. Make it a silly laugh. Good. There we go. You can let that laughter crack your heart wide open. Now some of you have the hang of it. Go ahead. And mine be beautiful. All he asked for. Just feeling what that brought up for you. Everything that's there is normal. And you're held here with the heart cracking open a little wider. You can let your focus be on that heart breath now, really seeing the heart breath expand your heart. You're safe. Keep going now. You only got a few more minutes left. You can do this. final few active breath moments. Imagine letting yourself put down any heaviness that you're carrying, whether you mentioned it today or not. Put down any heaviness, like taking stones out of a backpack and putting it down and leaving it behind. You get to lighten your load for these final few moments of active breath.
Love is everything. Love is everything because love makes the world go round. Love is the foundation of our soul. Love is the greatest feeling that any person could have. And the love for someone or something is the greatest feeling that could ever existed. That's what love is.
Good. Final few active breaths. Yeah. And you can finally let your breath resume to your natural breathing pattern here. And so your breath resumes to your natural breathing. And here you rest. Here you just rest. Feeling all that you feel. Right where you are, as you are. I invite you to let yourself think of the first thing that comes to you when you think about loving yourself. What do you love about yourself? Let that feeling of love fill your heart. Let it fill to the brim. Let that pour out of your heart because it's too much for the heart to hold. Letting that self-love pour through your body, down each arm, and back up. down each leg. And then let yourself think for a moment about a moment in your life that represents pure love. Pure love. Let the energy of pure love fill your heart to the very brim. Let the energy of pure love explode out of your heart and through your body, down each arm, back up, down each leg. You can be right where you are emotionally, right where you are physically, and reclaim this energy of love as the energy that propels you forward, as the energy that opens your heart. You can see a future version of you only guided from this place. Radical love. Start to take a deep breath in, just reawakening parts of the body that might have gone a little offline. Start to bring some consciousness back into your body. Just noticing how your body's feeling. It might feel nice here to wiggle some fingers and toes. It might feel nice to stretch. You get to choose. Every movement that you make as you reawaken is slow, is intentional. It might feel nice to wrap your arms around your own body and give yourself a big hug. Just saying thank you, body. Thank you, container, that with which I live this world in. This energy is you. This energy is yours. What you moved through, what you didn't, it's all fine. It's all as it was needed to be. We can always trust in that. Trust in the work. In our inner work, in our hearts, in the breath, in the universe. If you're having a hard time coming back, it might feel nice to roll on over into child's pose. You can choose. If that sounds nice, if you're like, no way, I'm not there yet, just bend those knees and let the feet touch the floor, feeling the earth beneath you, supporting you. As you open your eyes and come back into this space, you might want to jot some things down. It might feel nice to process a little further. If you feel called to do that, great. If you are not, no problem. That's not right or wrong. There's no rush back to the computer. You can stay in slumber party position. Just starting to bring yourself back more and more. If you haven't opened your eyes yet, doing that now. And sometimes we can get into such a deep state that we fall asleep, or staying where we are feels right. That's okay too. That's not wrong at all. We are going to open the floor up for questions and shares if you would like to. I know, Lindsey, if you have anything else you want to say before we do that. And so when we do questions and shares, I will not call on anyone. I won't push Ivy to share. It's just whatever you feel you need or want, all right? So if you want to say something or ask a question, I will encourage that your question will likely help someone else in the group. So the shares can be really nice, but not needed if that's not where you are.
Beautiful. Thank you, Jenna. Would love if anyone is willing and feeling called to share. You can just raise your hand, and or if your video's off, share it in the chat, and we'll just kind of flow from there. What you experienced, what you felt, what you saw, what you heard, really anything. I can begin. At first I wasn't going in, and I'm like, it's pretty easy lately for me to drop into breath work, but my mind was running. And then I think it was like halfway through, like I had my eyes open for a minute or two, and then I closed them, and it was as if like my soul or my heart was just like, there you go. And I just got emotional because I was like, ugh, it's always there. It's like that kind of that sweet sadness of just like, it's always there. And there's so many moments when I forget. So yeah, that's what stood out. Anybody else? Yeah, Cindy.
I had a really hard time kind of dropping into it too. It felt like my brain was going, you can't do this, you can't do this. Like you're doing it wrong. And then it wasn't until the screaming, like the middle where we were, and then it just like felt like it released. And I still felt like I was probably doing it wrong, but it felt different and my hands got really tingly. And then I felt like I was getting some like downloads almost, like one of them for me was I haven't had a full deep breath since I was 17 years old. And that's when my dad passed away. And I feel like that really like hit me. I'm like, I haven't breathed since then. And I'm 37 now. So I mean like that, I'm like, I haven't breathed in 20 years.
Thank you, Cindy, for sharing that. Wow. Yeah. When trauma happens and pain happens, we do stop breathing. That's stopping the breath, right? And sometimes it takes almost your willingness to go there to say to the body, it's okay, you can breathe again.
Yeah, like almost reassuring it that it's safe to breathe. Like it's nothing bad will happen if I breathe. And another thing is that, and it hasn't even like really occurred to me, but my son is 17 now, and it's like very close to the anniversary of my dad's death. And I think that it's very connected, and just all of that seemed to come through after like letting that release out. So yeah, it felt super powerful.
Beautiful. Thank you, Cindy. And I want to touch upon something that both since Cindy and Lindsey shared about the dropping in. I'm going to use air quotes, right? Because I know, we all know a sense of that feeling of what it's like to drop in. And also, sometimes I feel that the reason in these practices there is not a dropping in, or there is a hardship to drop in, is because of the expectation to drop in. And the reason I keep using those air quotes is because really, even though we know there's a feeling of that, is there really any, well, let me rephrase that. Even though we know what it's like when it feels to drop in, you're always going to be getting what you need in energy healing work. It's just not, might not always be what we want it to be. And so when we let go of the need for even a drop in, which is what both Lindsey and Cindy did, they just kind of are, okay, I surrender, then actually we drop in, right? So thank you both for sharing that. That felt important, and that goes for meditations as well. I mean, when you guys do meditations, you can kind of take that and see how that feels for you.
Beautiful. Lindsey, did you raise your hand? Harrigan?
Yeah, I definitely felt like I did feel a sense of dropping in, like being kind of like tingly and everything. It was actually like a very similar sensation to I've been doing Reiki for a while. I try to do it about like once a month. I was kind of surprised that it was like a very similar. I mean, it makes sense, but I was feeling like a really like a tightness in my chest. And then when we did the screaming into the pillow, it just like completely went away, which was really cool.
Wow.
And then I did actually have a question. Like when people do like breathwork sessions, like how often do they typically like do a session?
Privately, group, or just in general?
Just in general.
Okay. So it depends on you. How often do you want to do it?
Mhm.
Um, how often do you want to do it? And how often do you feel called to do it, even if you don't want to do it? Krista. So there's that. I'm enjoying giving Krista a hard time today. So there's that balance between the two, which is you listen to you. I will share that when I first found breathwork, it was crystal clear to me that there was so much that was ready to move, that it was an everyday experience. I laid down by myself. You can lay down on your own. Your breath is yours. Then you can join groups. Then you can do privates. There is no right or wrong. I like the full spectrum support. I like to recommend that to people because the full spectrum support gives you different pieces to work with. Um, but really it's you choose. If you are like, this could support me, and you're like me, then go all in, sister.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. It'd be aggressive to say like do it twice a day, but I've done that too. So you really, as long as you don't do it while you're driving, you're okay.
I would love to, open it up for questions as well. And I think keeping it to people, if they're called to unmute themselves and speak is great. We'll just um, make it kind of concise. And of course, you can make it personal from your experience today, like Lindsey did as well. So, anyone have any questions? Yeah, Ivy.
I'm shocked. That was one of the craziest things I've ever experienced, to be honest. And I feel like a lightness in kind of like my stomach area. And I also noticed that, so I'm wondering if in the body you feel, if you can feel that, like a release or something. And then also the whole time, like I still kind of feel like I'm vibrating a little bit. And the whole time I felt it like from my waist up, but I didn't really feel much from my waist down. And I'm wondering if it changes or if like if that's normal or what.
Beautiful question. Yeah, I'll say that almost every time I'm going to tell you that it's normal. Almost every time. There's a few things that we would dive into if you were to share, but so yes, it's normal. Absolutely normal to feel a full body release as well. That's what we're doing, right? When we like what we did in the beginning was cultivate, play with the energy of fear. And then you sort of, as you're playing with that by talking about it and bringing awareness to it, we're moving energy. And then we pop off this bottle of emotion, if you will, whatever kind of emotion. It doesn't have to just be tears. And then in breath, we're activating and allowing that bottle to be released, to be dumped out, right? Like whatever way it wants to be released. So absolutely feeling a full body release is normal and beautiful. And I know you didn't share this in the upfront. I think that was Lindsey that talked about the voice having a hard time being seen and heard, but you did speak a little bit about feeling afraid of others, of hurting others based on that semblance. So for you, some of that weight is able to be removed simply by somatic healing, by giving it away to the breath. So full body release is completely normal. You put down some of that weight that you were holding around it. The waist down sensation, I'm feeling from you that energetically you might be being called, and you have to see if this lands for you. Don't ever take my word for anything. Just hear it and see what lands for you. It needs to land for you. My favorite meditation teacher always says that. Don't take my word for it. Practice for yourself. So feel for yourself if grounding is a word that lands for you. Am I in need of some grounding? Am I forgetting about, if you will, this lower half of my body? How am I, what does it need to come online and to be here with me? It's not a problem either way. That might just be something you can play with. You're welcome.
Yeah, Lindsey G.
Hey, girl.
Hi.
You guys, that was amazing. I had missed breathwork so much. I'd been doing it in community before sort of the pandemic. And then I think because I was feeling so much like during this crazy time, I was just scared to do it because I knew it was going to all come up and fly out. And it totally did during that practice. So thank you. I don't think I've like screamed since this has happened. So it was just a lovely release. I actually had a lot of stuff like shooting down my legs. And that really sort of just hit me what you just said around the grounding piece, because I've been up here stuck in like anxiety. So thank you guys all. This was just so lovely. But I'm curious around like reintegration, because I still feel like I'm flying. What kind of pointers and tips you have to sort of ground to get back into our day?
Yes, great point. My hope is that you don't have to jump back like into the car or into anything like into too much of society right away. So you hopefully can, and if you have to, then can you create a little extra space for yourself right now? If you still feel like you're flying, no problem. First and foremost is my famous joke, what I'm going to give to you, which is don't reach out to your exes. That's like actually a reintegration piece of advice. Your hearts can be really open, and so we can think everything is about that energy, and it is, but not everybody's in that energetic space with you. So just an interesting tidbit as a way of taking care of yourself for reintegration is to be delicate about who you share this with. Be delicate about who you invite into the personal experience you just had. That was yours, and it's okay to keep that sacred. So that'd be one. And a non-esoteric way of reintegration would be feet on the earth. If you live in any place, even if it's too cold and you have to wear shoes on the earth, on your grass, on a walk around the block. A walk, it can be extremely expansive. Sometimes, and this is really rare, so take this one with a grain of salt, sometimes some really light yoga can be nice. I'd be careful and gentle with that. That might not be for you. It's pretty rare that that's for people. It's like 1 in 100 people that I find that works for. So be careful with that one. Otherwise, drinking a lot of water is an incredible reintegration. Walks in nature, and journal. Go sit with your pen and your pad and journal by a window, journal in bed, get a warm cup of tea. Anything you can do with like that coziness and tenderness energy is going to feel really supportive for you. And then I'll add that, look, if you go to the grocery store and you see, the cereal aisle and it makes you want to cry, just fucking cry. Like, whatever. I mean, really, you're still releasing, you're still moving through this. You've cracked some of this open. There's no need to shut it back down. Maybe you'll never see those grocery store people again. So who cares if you're crying in the cereal aisle, right? So really, like, I would encourage with that tenderness and softness that you don't stuff it back in and down. at least for today, you might have some semblance of vulnerability hang over tomorrow, and that's okay. For today, tenderness, coziness, and some of those tools could be supportive. You're welcome. Great question. And I thought I saw Leslie White. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, you're right. I just wanted to say thank you. That was incredibly powerful for me. I like deeply cried. I'm like still crying. There was like a lot of forgiveness that came up, which was awesome. I guess it was kind of similar to I forget who mentioned this, but I think it was Ivy. For me, my hands and my feet were really cold up front, and to the point where it was like uncomfortable, and they like wouldn't move. It was like there was like paralysis, and then my hands and like my entire upper body got really warm after it all, but my feet still kind of remained cold. So I was kind of thinking that it was similar to what you were saying about the grounding, and which is a piece of something that I'm also working on too. Mm-hmm. But I guess it was just a comment.
Sure. Beautiful. Yeah. I mean, the only thing I'll add to it would be that I'm a part of my practice as a teacher that I feel I deeply believe in is not trying to figure out all the pieces, exactly what they mean and where, because we really don't need to always have that understanding. And that does take us away from the heart, right? So I have a lot of people in groups will ask like, well, what does this mean, or what do I do with it is a little different sometimes, right? Than what is it necessarily unlocking? Because you have so much infinite power and wisdom in your own body. You know you best. You will always know you best. And I love empowering you to really feel into that and to give to yourself. But I'm so glad that because that landed for you, then clearly, Leslie, that is something that your intuition is like, that was right for me. So thank you for saying that.
Thank you. That was amazing.
We'll take one more question just for the interest of time and allowing you to go off into your Saturday. So does anyone else have a question?
We'll take, I hated it. That's okay.
Cindy.
Random question, but was your playlist built with like a certain, because some of it felt very like energetic feeling in the playlist, and was it built in a way to help us go through it, or I'm just curious about how that's, or is it just whatever you wanted to put on?
Well, it's a little bit of both. I'm deeply intentional about my playlists. So I create them for this playlist was created in my Spotify profile. When it goes public, you would see it as almost 30. Like it was intentionally for you guys. So every playlist I create is intentional for this group that I'm working with. So it is very and deeply intentional. Sometimes I end up DJing because I like to play with the energy. So if the energy is calling us over here or there, I'll pull something else in. And it is all music I love. I'll only play music I love. That helps me energetically as a teacher too. So, but it is deeply intentionally built with an arc and for release and for the entirety of the experience from beginning to end. So thanks for picking up on that.
There was one song in there too that really like it kind of resonated with what I was thinking, what was going on right when the one with words in it, and I'm like, oh, this seems so like it was meant to be right there. So I was just curious.
Totally, and it always is. I had a group the other day that for some reason Landslide would literally not stop playing. Like it was some weird glitch in a tech system, and it played like 3 times. And I was just like, energy is energy, and it knows no bounds, and it guides us. And at the end, of course, there was like 7 people in the group that were like, holy shit, Fleetwood Mac, holy crap, Landslide, here's all the things it opens for, and it was, oh, well, I guess we had to hear it 3 times then because it wasn't on the playlist 3 times. So yeah, very intentional, and energetically, it's always there to support even further opening for you.
Beautiful. Ain't nothing wrong with Landslide. One of the best cry songs out there, to be honest. I think we're feeling pretty good with questions, and I'm really glad, Lindsey, that you asked about aftercare. So you all are feeling good and supported and, able to transition from our container right now to the world. So I would love, just before we go, Jenna, would love for people to know where to connect with you, DMs, and what's going on with you. And then we should do like a quick breath, hand over our heart just before we close our container.
Beautiful. I love that. And I'll just add to, our circle is ending here, but we're here. That this is everlasting. Reach out if you have crazy dreams, if you have follow-up questions, no problem. I'm here to support you. Please do reach out. I'd say Instagram is probably the best for that. And it's just my name, Jenna with an M in the middle, Reiss, Riss. You can find me there for Instagram. And then my website is another great place to just poke around if you want some tools and how you can continue to play with some of this work. So Jenna Reiss, as that one's just my name, no M, jennareiss.com. So you can just jot my name down and you'd find it all there. And really, I mean what I said. As you go on your journey, reach out along the way. A lot of stuff can show up, and I'm just grateful that we have 15 people that want to heal and work on themselves. So this is how we make the world a better place. And in terms of things I have going on, I've got a couple fun things. I've got a workshop again, another one like this, a little shorter, an hour and a half, in December on the 14th. So if you're wanting to check back in, it's called Being in a Relationship with Ego. So, who doesn't have some relationship with ego? So let's work with some ego. And that workshop will be fun on the 14th. And then I'm doing a series as well for BreathWork and Tarot, which is a 4-week thing. And like I said, there's tons of tools on there that are work with on your own, that are just online. You can kind of play with what feels good so you can keep working with this work in your own space.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Jenna. All right, let's just all put our hands over our hearts. Just one little close our beautiful container with you beautiful people. Just stretch the neck a little bit. Release the jaw if we haven't already. So I'll take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Have gratitude for your beautiful selves. Have gratitude for this beautiful container, for this beautiful community. Thank you, God, for supporting us and bringing us here. We love you very much. Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you all. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. We appreciate you so, so much. We will see you soon. And thank you, Jenna.